What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Creative Director Studio. Remember, Creative Director Studio is the place to stay inspired and stay motivated to take your career to the next level. And I just said a key hint: inspiration. So today we're going to be talking about what makes you an inspiring creative director, and we have two big points here, and we're just going to dive straight in. So, how you doing, Joey?
I'm great. Good to see you, Corey. Glad to be back in the studio. We're super excited to talk about
Yeah,
inspiration. So let's dive into the first point: knowing what inspires you as a creative leader. So let me build on this point, Corey, and explain it to the
yeah,
audience about what we mean here. So we actually have a video that we'll link here in this video that talks about how to be a great creative director. And within that, the second point in the video, if you want to jump to it, is actually talking about what you stand for. Essentially, what are your values? So
yeah.
that's a great springboard to think about the point that we're going to talk about now. So knowing what you value as a creative director, as a creative leader, what are the things that you think are essential to make a really successful creative project, to really give add soul to a project as well. That's what your values are. And so being in tune with those is really important, because what it will do is it will keep you from getting into that hustle and grind culture that we talk about, Corey, getting
Yep.
stuck in deadlines and the burnout place, and really all these things that really fight against inspiration. We know that you're going to end up there. We have many videos on this channel talking about it, right, Corey, that we could
Oh, yeah,
possibly link to as well. Just talking about how to get through this. We
yeah.
recognize this as a thing, but it fights against inspiration. And one of the biggest ways to be able to get out of that is to have these literally written on your wall behind your desk, on your computer back, wallpaper, on your phone. Have these readily accessible, just a few points so you know why you're doing this. Why are you a creative person? For example, Corey, one of the things that I like to think about is that I just truly believe that as creatives, we all have our best work ahead of us. There's always something new to learn. There
Yeah.
are great opportunities for people to learn from the past and make something new in the future. So it's that evolution
Oh,
and that
yeah.
learning process that excites me. So that's a visionary moment for me. So when I'm thinking about inspiring other people, I come back to that and I think about, okay, let me put this in front of other people and use that point to hopefully inspire them to say, what we're making here is greater than maybe the frustration we're feeling right now in the weeds. There's a bigger purpose here. We're learning. This project is greater. Your career is greater than this project. Where we're going is bigger than this project. And I think that has been a big thing for me as a creative leader
Oh, yeah.
to not only stay inspired for me, but inspire other people. But you have to remember that yourself, because if you don't have those readily accessible, you'll forget, and you'll forget why you're even doing this work anymore. So that's my first point, Corey, which is
Absolutely.
to remember why you're doing it, and know what you stand for, and more importantly, being able to remember what those values are.
Absolutely, Laura. That is a great, great, great point. And I like to approach all the work with just being really curious and really encouraging the designers to really push themselves. And so the next big point we're talking about here is to be an inspiring creative director, you have to be able to bring out the best in other. But beyond that, it's showing them the potential that they didn't know was there. And so every great creative director should really have a good understanding of where each individual is. And once you understand where they are in their career and where they would like to go, you have a better understanding of where you can help out in that journey. And so, I have this really interesting story, not interesting, it's relevant to what we're talking about. So I was working with a younger designer a few years back, and he was one of those designers who you give him a task, boom, he does it. He really was a self learner. He could figure anything out, and I've always was really impressed by that. And but he was still struggling with figuring out what his purpose was, what his voice was as a designer. And as a creative director, I looked at that as an opportunity that I see the potential that he might not know is there. And I encouraged him. I've shared different things with him. I was like, have you thought about this as a career path? And we talked all about it. And it was something that he was so excited about, but didn't even know anything about. So you as a creative director, that's the power you have. You can show them a path or a potential that they didn't even know was there. And so the long story short is this person came back to me years later and said, hey, I end up going back to school. I'm now the thing that we talked about. And
Yeah.
Joey, that was such a good moment for me because it made me feel really good. Like I've actually helped somebody. And those are the moments you're looking for as a creative director, the moments where you're adding value to somebody else, you're encouraging somebody else. And honestly, just to give you a shout out, Joey, like this is something you've done for me in my career. And you've helped me figure out certain things about myself that I didn't know was there. And so that just shows you that we all can use somebody like that in our life. We can always use somebody that really inspires us and encourages us to get better in our careers. And so we want to focus our energy as creative directors about being inspiring, being admired individuals, because that's really what it's all about, adding value to somebody else. And so I love that.
Hmm.
And I figured I'd give you a shout out there because I really appreciate
Yeah.
what you've done in my career.
Well, thanks, Corey. I love this story, and I think one thing it makes me think of is, you can bring this value to people. Like in our
Yeah.
relationship, it in our work relationship. It's very much about seeing opportunities in people around you. It doesn't mean that you have to be, working with just people that report to you or people that are maybe at a lower position than you. This collaboration can really happen across the board, even with people senior and other people, other peers as well. So, Corey, I think the advice you just gave really kind of permeates even outside of the exact team you may be managing,
Yeah.
because the same mentorship applies, and I think that inspiration can really trickle out to other people, and I think that's what's most exciting to me. And it is a learning process because it's two-way. you know,
Yeah.
I've learned so many things from the people that I have managed throughout my career, just as much as they say they've learned things from me. Because again,
Absolutely.
it's a journey. It's a journey. We
Yeah.
talk about this in other videos. And I think that's the most exciting thing of being in that place of inspiration,
I'd
and
love that. Yeah.
creating an environment of inspiration. That's really what we're talking about
Absolutely.
here.
That's a really, really good point you made about like it doesn't matter where you are in your journey. You may not even be a creative director, but you can be an inspiring individual and you can start that process of growing into creative direction right now. I'm actually working with young creative directors right now who don't really believe that they should be there yet. And that's a whole nother story. We talk about self-doubt in another video. But anybody can be inspiring. It's really about just like approaching the work where you're adding value to others and encouraging those around you, like Joey said. And if you do these two big things, trust me, you're going to be a better creative director. You're going to be a more inspiring creative director. We want you all to let us know what you think in the comments. How are you doing this? And, creative directors out there, how are you inspiring your staff? And those who are designers or aspiring to be creative directors, what are some things you're struggling with? Let us know in the comments because we are checking those, and we'd love to hear from you.
Definitely. Definitely. Thanks, Corey. Well, let's say goodbye to everybody. We'll see you back in the studio really soon, and we would love to hear from you.
All right.